Designers, in today's video, I'm going to show you techniques and methods you can use to instantly transform your designs using typography. They're simple to learn and easy to put into place for any project. Let's go. The first thing you want to do is create the body text. So for me, I just drag out a text box kind of like this and I insert some filler text. Pick the text or the font that you want to use. I'm going to use Newhouse Grotesque Display, and I'm going to do it in light. Now, right now, this text looks big enough, but I think it could be smaller. There's a few things. I want to make sure that this is the tracking, or shall I say the leading, is high enough so that the lines in between don't kind of push in together. We want to make it a really easy, readable experience. So I'm going to go up here in Affinity Publisher, if you don't know what this is, and I'm going to increase this. I'm going to choose my leading. 17 is a bit too much. I think 15 was just the best. Maybe 16. What I'm looking for is about 6 lines or 6 words per line, 7 to 11, somewhere between there. And that feels good. That feels like a nice body text right there. So what we have is a Newhouse Grotesque Display, 12 points in font size, we're in the light form, and we have 16 points of leading. The leading is a huge part because that's what makes it easy to read. If we had type like this, it's going to be hard to read because there's a lot going on. We want to make it chunkable, easy to see. So now that we've got that body text, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to what's known as my artistic text tool, which is this thing here. And I'm just going to go body. I'm going to go and basically just choose the same as I did last time, which is Newhouse Grotesque Display Light. I'm going to make sure that the point size is 12, and I'm going to make sure my leading is 16. And what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this, and we're going to find out what sizes we can use for our headers, for our titles, subheaders, and captions. So with this, I'm going to highlight body. I'm going to press enter, which brings the move and duplicate function. I'm going to press duplicate, and let's say I want like 4 other copies of this. In scale, I'm going to simply press Shift and 8, which gives this times or this asterisk. I'm going to say 1.618. That is the golden ratio Fibonacci sequence, the golden number. And when we press OK, we instantly get a big mess of words. Don't worry about that. We're going to select all of them like so. I'm going to select the top one, bring it up. And I'm going to go up here to alignment, and we're going to vertically distribute these. And then I'm going to align them to the left. It just looks like a bunch of text right now. But what we can do very easily is we can say that this is the title. We can change the weight, and we normally want to skip a weight. So we could go all the way to, let's say, bold for the title. We're going to skip a weight on header 1 to medium. Heading 2 will also be medium for this. The body is going to be just Roman, which is a weight above light. And this is going to be subheader. And just like that, we've created a type system that works really well on the page that you're viewing it on. This is so important. We haven't just pulled numbers out of the ground or sizes from random. We've chosen the size of the title and the headings and the subheadings based on the body text. Nothing in here was random. We made sure that we could read the body text easily. The body text always dictates the size of the headings and the subheadings. The best thing about this, if we want to create an even larger version of the title, let's say we want to create a title 1, we just duplicate it again by 1.618, and now we have a master title. You don't have to use 1.618 or that golden ratio. You can just divide it by 2, by 3, by 4, or times it by 2, 3, 4. As long as the numbers have something to do with your body text, you're okay. Okay, this next tip is one that I've learned from Abby Connick. Go ahead and give it a like down below. Essentially, you take your text in Adobe Illustrator or any other vector program. I'm going to choose this really nice instrument serif type here. Now, what we want to do is we want to create outlines with this. So Command or Control, Shift and O, that will create outlines. And what that means is that this text is no longer editable. It's actually a vector shape. So we can't edit this anymore. Then we're going to ungroup the text. And we're going to go to our pencil tool. You can press N on your keyboard. And what we can do is we can actually just edit this any way we like, just like so. And we can customize the text really easily and quickly like that. Let's say I don't like the start of this A either. We just get our pencil, kind of just draw the shape that we want. We can go pretty wild with this. And just like so, we've just created custom text, and you can easily create a logo type like that. Okay, tip number 3, kerning, tracking, making sure your logo type looks good. Have you ever been in this situation where you're looking at your logo type and you think, there's something off with it, I'm not sure what it is? Well, here's a nifty way of working out exactly what's wrong with it without even having to really use your brain. All we're going to do is take our type. We see that there's something wrong with it. We're going to make a duplicate of it, so just drag that out, and we're going to flip this one on its back. We're going to mirror it. What this does is it stops us from reading this. You are not reading this anymore. This looks like gibberish. You are viewing the individual shapes of the letter forms. And because of this, we can work out that obviously this B is not where it should be. And we've got a few kerning errors going on just like so, that we can make a little bit better like that. And based on that, we can just flip it back around and boom, we've just sorted out that logo type. The trick is, instead of reading your logo types, we need to be able to view them as shapes. And in flipping it, it tricks your brain into seeing it in a different way and allowing you to spot inconsistencies and just bad things happening in that design. Now, if you're a graphic designer or a creative professional, then learning new skills and getting better over time is something that you just want to do. You want to just become a better designer. You want to get better clients, so you increase your skills to remain competitive. Or maybe you've never started learning about graphic design. Maybe you don't know the first thing. Well, Skillshare is an online learning community filled with thousands of classes all the way from cooking to photography, graphic design, anything you can think of. They have thousands of classes taught by industry level experts. In fact, I have my own Skillshare original class on there, and it's all about exploring and ideating iconic logo ideas. How do we even come up with ideas that are unique and distinguished? How do we make sure they work for the client? That class is a real gem for anyone who struggles to come up with fresh ideas for their clients. Well, with my link in the description below, the first 500 people get a 1-month premium membership of Skillshare, where they can watch as many classes as they like during that 1-month free trial. Recently, I've actually been taking Ali Abdaal's productivity classes on there. He's a productivity god, I've heard. So I wanted to become more productive. And a few of his lessons have really opened my eyes up to making some of my work that I didn't feel like was productive, even more productive, and feel better doing it. So if you haven't done so already, click the link in the description box at the end of this video. And thank you, Skillshare, for sponsoring this video and making this video happen. The last tip is all about layout. When you have typographic posters like you're seeing here, a lot of people don't understand how they are created, but it's actually very simple. Typography is a hierarchy game. We have hierarchy balance, and it's vital that our posters and our work has an order and a hierarchy on it, so we can guide the viewer or the audience through the information. This poster here, if I was to press preview off, you'll notice that we have a lot of grid lines here. What the heck is going on? Well, a grid is like a click track. It's like a metronome in music. It keeps your visuals in line, keeps your typography in a good hierarchy, and it makes for a more clean, polished layout. One grid can have many different compositions, like so. Here's one, here's another one, here's another one. Using a grid feels like cheating, but in reality, it's not. It's all about keeping everything balanced and harmonized. To create a grid in Affinity Publisher, all you have to do is go to View, go down to Guides, and you'll get this sort of guides box here. Then we just go for the columns. I'm going to choose, let's say, 6 for the columns, and then we can choose 3 for the rows. What I like to do for my grids is make sure that we can divide them many times. So 6, I could go up to 12 in fact, which is pretty standard. We'll go to 12, and I'll make sure that we can divide that by 2 or 3. The margins I'm going to increase, keep them all together. And if we don't like that, we can easily just switch them around so we have a different modular grid. We can use filled or outlined. I like outlined. And I like to keep my gutter values to be divisible as well by one of the numbers of the grid, or the leading, depending on what design you're doing. And this way we can actually just create a cool layout by just marking out little parts of this. So before I even do a poster or anything, I might think of, let's say, where's the image going to go? Well, we can have the image here, and then we can have our type maybe here. So let's try a type here, and then we can just scale that down again. have some type here. Then maybe we have some space there and put some more type down here. And then we have a really nice structured layout straight away. And then if you don't like that, we can just duplicate this again, which is what I normally do. And we can come up with a completely new layout. Say I want my type to be over here. Or we just want something up at the top here. We want the big image here. And we want some more text to happen. Let's say down here like so. Move that to the right. Everything is in position. Everything feels ordered. Everything has hierarchy. And we have enough space. This makes it really easy for us to just move things around and just to see where things fit better. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to press that subscribe button. It means the world to us, and it also lets the YouTube algorithm know that you enjoy my type of design content. If you know of another designer that might benefit from the video, then just share it with them down below. Just go and give them that link. The more people that watch, the more content we bring out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you soon.